Alright, here's the 350Z I'm selling. It's a 2007, and the color is called Solar Orange. They made another orange one that was a little more kind of copper kind of colored. They had that most years. This is the only year they put out this color, and it's a standard, and they only did about 500 of these colors in a stick. I think another 1,000 or so in automatic, so there aren't very many of them. Overall, mechanically, it's in basically immaculate condition. Engine sounds perfect, transmission works great, no mechanical issues. It does have a couple cosmetic issues though. Before I got it, it actually came from Texas, and so underneath there's absolutely no rust. It's still the stock color underneath, no rust at all. So it came from Texas, and before I got it, somebody had been in an accident, and it wasn't disclosed to me, so I don't actually know any details about it. But I did notice back here in the quarter panel, right here, it's got Bondo underneath, and you can tell whoever did it didn't do the best job because the Bondo is cracked. It was like that when I got it. It hasn't gotten any worse, so I think it's alright, but it's definitely not pretty. So that's there. And a couple of the panels had been repainted. They look alright. You look really close and catch it in the sun, you can tell the difference. I can't show it on camera, I'm sure, though. And then while I've owned it, I got rear-ended by a truck and didn't really do any repairs. The bumper was kinked in, and I just took it off, warmed it up, and popped it back out. And so you can see here, maybe you can see on the camera, but anyway, you can see here that this is where it was kinked, and so the paint's a little cracked. It will stay on there fine, though. It's not going to come off the bumper, except over here where it got extreme force, and you can see it started to peel up there. And that basically happened immediately upon getting hit. I don't think it's gotten any worse, but I really haven't driven it much, so I don't know, depending on how much you care. At least the primer underneath is also orange, so from afar you can't tell, but if you care, you could get the rear bumper repainted. I did replace the taillight when it was hit because it broke off this corner. So the taillight's new, and whatever these are, the little struts, those aren't very good. If it's a nice warm day, they'll stay up just fine. They feel normal. However, if it's cold, anytime it's even like 60 or 70 degrees, you will need a stick. So I'll even throw in my free stick to hold it up. You just kind of, at least I wedge it in there. I don't haul anything in this anyway. We got a handful of other cars. So this was never something I really needed to get in the back anyway. But I at least just leave the stick in there so that it's available. There is, I know, if you take off this plastic on the what do they call this thing? The rear tailgate, it will have a weighted metal plate in there. And that was to balance it so it didn't shoot up too fast and had the right resistance for whenever the struts were good. But now that the struts aren't great, a lot of people will take off that weighted plate. And that might be enough that the thing works well in the cooler weather. But I haven't tried it because, again, I don't really use that much, so it just is what it is. The wheels came on it. I don't know much about them. They're Axis. They are 19s, and they have that painted stripe that matches the same color as the car. So that's nice. The rubber I just put on last year, so that's pretty new. I don't know how many miles are on it right off the top of my head, but I'll put it on the post. That way you can see exactly how many miles are on the tires. They're Hankook Ventus V12 Evos. Inside, car is clean. I actually haven't vacuumed it, so you'll see some dust and stuff like that. But it has 2 cup holders in there, and that is the thing to get off the lug nuts that they put on. It's got the fancy lug nut lock thing. If you ever lost that, you can buy another one at Advance Auto or whatever. And then there are 2 more cup holders in here. Those are the ones I would actually use. A little coin thing if you use that. This is just a feature plate if you had heated seats. And it has a Pioneer radio in there. I'll just leave it in there, you can have that. And it's got this little cubby, pretty much where I would just kind of put napkins or whatever. Put a little cubby up there. If you have sunglasses in the roof, there's a little sunglass holder guy. And in the back, behind the passenger seat, in the back there is, they call this the glove box. There's basically this big opening in the back, and this little guy comes out, and then there's another little opening. And it has 2 of these, one on each side. you press them and it releases them, and that's where I put any documents. So it kind of almost has 3 glove boxes, kind of 4 if you count the cubby up there, but it doesn't actually have one in the dash in front of the passenger. That's just an airbag. Other than that, there's absolutely no rust on the car anywhere, including around the doors. I'd always wash those, so those are nice and clean. Even on the bottoms, no rust anywhere on the car. What else to show? I don't know if this will even work, if I can show under the car, but we'll try. Not really, maybe. Figure it out later. But anyway, no rust under here. It's just all got all the rough rubberized underbody coating they put on this thing. The exhaust is still good, no holes, no rust. That's also rust free. And I guess I can pop the hood. It had since it was in Texas, it had the front license plate area removed, and they drilled a couple holes in there. So it's got a couple holes, and that little piece across the grill is not there for whenever they had the license plate on there. And in here, this has the HR motor that they put in 2007. Has dual air intake and electronic throttle bodies. And whoever had it before me put on the cold air intakes. So those are there. Nothing terribly special. It's clean in here. Again, no rust. You can see everything is still all just nice and painted. No corrosion really anywhere. So in absolutely perfect, I guess motorized condition, whatever you want to call it. And then just a few cosmetic blemishes. But otherwise, the areas where the paint isn't damaged, it's nice and normal, as you'd expect. The other area is when I bought it, somebody had put on some carbon fiber plasticky sticker thing on this. And thought they were dumb, but I left them on until I had stored the car for the winter and the battery was dead when I went to get around to it in the summer, and I couldn't unlock the door, and that's where they had covered over the door lock thing. So when I peeled them off, it did lift up, made like a paint bubble. It's been like that for 4 or 5 years or whatever it is now, and nothing's happened with them, but both sides do have that for when I peeled off these silly carbon fiber sticker things, which actually I guess are still up here on this. Inside of there, you can kind of see little carbon fiber silly things. Anyway, that's I guess as much as I can show about the car. And if you're interested, just text or call. Thanks.